Run to this morning's run that shifts it eastward on the Florida Peninsula. But first, for 30 straight hours now, Irma has been churning with winds over 180 miles per hour. That is incredible. We're running out of adjectives to describe this monster. Already we're seeing the center about 50 miles now from San Juan. It is not expected to make a direct hit in Puerto Rico, as we talked about last night, but conditions are falling apart quickly. The worst winds, the worst storm surge, the greatest strength is in that northeastern quadrant. Therefore, there have been evacuations in the Turks and Caicos and into the southeast Bahama Islands. But as we back up, at 1 in the morning, we had a wind gust on the island of Barbuda of about 155 miles per hour, and then the instrumentation broke, so we just don't know how strong. We have no communication from that island, as well as St. Martin or Anguilla. No power, most likely. We have heard from France's foreign minister that on the island of St. Martin, the 4 largest buildings are destroyed. They believe that most of the old buildings are either completely destroyed or partially destroyed. But again, until the back end leaves this, we will not be able to have any airplanes get up in the air to give us some sort of an aerial assessment. Ground crews on the ground will start giving us some word, hopefully in the next 12 to 24 hours. But most likely they're still shell-shocked from this. The system then moved across the British Virgin Islands, and it has done some flooding to St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands in the harbor. But more importantly now, we're watching the winds in San Juan. A gust up to 62 miles per hour. It'll get stronger. Again, only 50 miles away. Only a half inch of rain has fallen in San Juan, but the bands are moving closer to this. And if you can see the color of red, once we get color of red around that inner band, that eye wall, that most likely could strengthen Irma another 5 miles per hour, which would tie, of course, Allen as the strongest ever in the Atlantic since 1980, or that was 1980. Warnings for the Turks and Caicos as mentioned. A 6-foot storm surge on the northern coast of Puerto Rico becomes a 20-foot storm surge in that northeastern quadrant. That's for the southeast Bahama Islands and Turks and Caicos. Here is the change from last night and this morning. We did have another update at 5 p.m., but not much of a change. Notice it continues its strength 48 hours out as a Category 5. I don't want everybody to just pay attention to this number, because even though it approaches, of course, southern Florida and near Miami, there is more to this than just a category. The category only tells us the strength of the winds. There is heavy rain, there is storm surge, there's a tornado outbreak. We had over 200 tornado warnings when Harvey made landfall and continued its wrath across areas of the Gulf. Now, as it makes its way up to the north, does it hug the coastline? Let's look at some of the computer models again. Another day, extreme agreement with the spaghetti plots as they continue to make their way toward Cuba. A few of them interact with that high terrain. We talked about this the last couple of days. That would tear the system down, maybe drop it to a Category 2. That's unfortunate for them. It would benefit others. But then again, most of the models keep it over water, so it can sustain the strength. Then again, still the timing. On Saturday, we watch the turn to the north, and it makes that right-hand pivot. Once this makes its move, we're going to get a better idea. I know psychologically it is very difficult when you look at something like this not to think that that's what's going to happen. We still have the option in the cone of uncertainty to move into the Gulf, or even like this model shows it, out into the open waters of the Atlantic. But we consider that an outlier and you erase it. Getting a little bit closer then with the European and with the U.S. model. We're going to take it from just off the coast of Cuba. These models do not interact so much now with Cuba anymore, so it's still significant. And we're going to take it to Sunday morning. Watch the movement. Both models in extreme agreement from around Monroe County, Miami-Dade, that is Miami, both of them on top of each other. The U.S. maybe just slightly eastward by 10, 15 miles. And then we'll continue it through Sunday into Monday. Both models take it right across Miami, maybe exiting parts of around Cape Canaveral, and then another landfall up near Savannah, Georgia. So there's still some uncertainty here. We've got several days here, Wolf, to really decide what the system is going to do. I know it's easy to take a look at this and make your plans, and you should, and possibly evacuate now. But the authorities are watching this closely to see where the mandatory evacuation should be and where the aid needs to be in place come Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, it looks like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, that whole area could be in severe damage control in the next several days. All right, stand by, Tom. We're going to get back to you. We've just received some pictures, aerial photos. You can see it right there of the damage that Irma already has caused on the small Caribbean island of Barbuda. There you can see. Let's just watch this for a moment. All right, you can see the devastation already there in Barbuda. The Hurricane Irma went right over Barbuda. Puerto Rico next in the line to feel Irma's fury. Let's go to our CNN anchor, George Howell. He's on the scene for us. George, the latest forecast says the storm will pass just north of where you are tonight.
And Wolf, the situation here gets worse and worse hour after hour. That's why we're here, in fact, for people in the states and all points in between that could be affected by this storm to see what's to come and to take those precautions, because this is no joke. This is a Category 5 hurricane that is passing through right now the eye wall about 50 miles to the north of Puerto Rico. So we're starting to feel the effects. These strong wind bursts, they come in and out. Right now, Wolf, we're in the middle of a lull, but you know, if you see me turn this direction, it's because I'm looking to see what could be coming this way, because debris is flying. It's a very intense storm. Let's talk about what they're doing here on the island to keep people safe. They have some 500 shelters that are set up. They've urged a mandatory evacuation for people to leave their homes, in fact, to go to places that are higher ground, that are safer shelter. The National Guard has been activated. A state of emergency has been declared. And we also understand from the governor that this territory, this U.S. territory, will receive federal funding. Wolf, there is one question, though. How will that play out, considering the debt crisis here? That is a question, because this island already has a great deal of debt it's dealing with. How will recovery be? How quick will that happen? That's a question many have as we wait and see what happens later tonight.
George Howell, be careful over there. We'll stay in close touch with you. Good luck to all the folks in Puerto Rico. All of Florida now under a state of emergency. The governor there urging everyone